Scanning. Identity authorized. Welcome to the Secret Superhero Club Podcast Network.
Welcome everybody to the Animation Station Podcast. My name is Josh, and it is the month of May, so that means it's time for our AniMay in the month of May. So this year, we decided to do something a little bit different. Instead of just doing our regular AniMay like we normally do, we decided to do something a little special. So we decided to pick a certain topic and stick with that the entire go-through. And the one thing that really kind of got us into Toonami here on, into AniMay here on the ASP was Toonami, and I spoiled it. Oh well. So the month of May this year, we are going to be doing ToonaMay, and joining me for the first episode, I have my good friend and yours, Brittany DeCosmo from HYLT Radio. How you doing, Brittany?
Oh, Brittany's. I'm doing well. I mean, it's been allergy season here, so my voice is a little deeper than normal. But I mean, I'm doing well.
Shit, I forgot it's Liam, not Brittany. I couldn't book Brittany, guys. I'm sorry. I know you love her. So I got the next best thing. I couldn't even get Remy, but I got Liam.
Dude, they cost money. I'm free bait. So for me, I'm the easy one to pull onto a podcast. But for those ones, you got to go through a booking agent. I
know, it's so hard. But no, we got Liam. How's it going, man?
It's going well. No, I figure it probably makes more sense to have the person that has seen, actual anime on Trigun as opposed to my wife, who I don't even think she was born by the time Toonami was out on Adult Swim. So yeah, that's you probably picked the right half of the duo, or I guess 1/3 of the trio.
Maybe. I mean, I don't think Brittany's that young.
No, but I want to say for Trigun, I want to say like the first time she ever watched it was after we had already been, I think we were already married by the time I finally got her to sit down and watch, the series from start to finish, and then eventually get her to watch Badlands Rumble. But yeah, I mean, for me, this was the topic. This honestly it's still my all-time favorite anime. So this is the one I was the most excited to talk about.
Perfect. Because I mean, I know you wanted to come on Tenchi Muyo, but
and it's tough because with Tenchi Muyo, I was super into that one. God, I had to have been like end of middle school, maybe, but it was, it got so convoluted and so hard to keep up on that really the last thing that I legitimately remember sitting down and watching was Tenchi Muyo in Love, the movie. And that was the last one. That was
the one with his mom, right?
Yeah, well, like there's a werewolf attacking them on top of the Eiffel Tower. Like that's the last one I legitimately remember watching and being like, this is way darker than the TV show. But I enjoyed it. It's just with that one, with like Naruto, there's just certain anime that they go too many episodes and they completely lose me. A lot of the ones that are kind of the finite series, like Trigun, like Cowboy Bebop, like a Full Metal Alchemist, those are the ones that I really thoroughly enjoy because I know there's a concrete beginning and a concrete end, and that's it.
Yeah. And they don't do a thing like one of my problems with Tenchi is there's like 30 different series, and they really don't follow each other because like
they don't connect. No,
exactly, because like you have like Tenchi Universe, and it's like Ryoko was a space pirate, and she's being followed by Mihoshi the entire time, and like there's this whole bit that goes on, and then there's like the OVA series, which I think came first, and that's where like Ryoko was like a demon that was sealed away a long time ago, and you're like, wait, I'm sorry, what happened? And then like, oh, how about Tenchi in Tokyo? Let's have Tenchi go to college and just say, screw everybody else over here. Let them do their own adventures, and he's going to go shack up with this one chick. And I'm just like, hold on. I'm so confused about what's going on right now.
Yeah, and it's not that the characters aren't enjoyable in the alternate iterations of them, but it just like I said, you start to kind of lose that focus. Oh, another one I just thought of, FLCL. That's probably one of my favorites because you're like, oh, it's 6 episodes.
It's 6 episodes. Yeah, this is good old Fooly Cooly.
This is perfect. I'll watch this one forever because it's a space pirate on a Vespa with a Rickenbacker bass guitar. Yeah, I'm in. You sold me.
Yep, and we have a Star Trek Voyager reference in that, so I know you definitely were a fan of that.
I probably didn't even notice.
Yeah, nope, it's totally fine. So anyway, so thanks for coming on and talking Tenchi. So,
Sure.
So Liam, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, well,
and we're done.
It's been a lot of fun. We'll see ya.
All right, bye everybody. Thanks for this 7-minute episode.
Yeah.
This is going back to our main topic. This is episode 155 of the Animation Station. It is brought to you by our good friends over at Funimation. If you want 2 weeks of free anime, all you have to do is go to the show notes, click on the link in the description, and you get 2 free weeks of anime on Funimation and on the ASP. So you get to get free anime and you support the show. It's a win-win for everybody. This episode of the ASP is also brought to you by our newest sponsor, Otaku Box. Otaku Box is anime loot chosen by subscribers. So every month, you basically get to vote on what goes in your box. So you can get anime figures. You get an anime figure in every box. You get a t-shirt, wall scrolls, and 3 or more awesome anime items. They also have a hinte option available for our more,
seasoned veterans.
Exactly, our seasoned veterans. So you get a hentai option with exclusive art. And our wonderful friends at Otaku Box are giving everybody $10 off their first 2 boxes by using the code ASP10 at checkout. So go to otakubox.com or again, click the link in the description. Get yourself some awesome anime swag. So Liam, I know you're definitely gonna, sign up for that hentai box.
No. Oh yeah, that's definitely right up my alley.
I mean, yeah, you've got a little one on the way, so I mean, why not?
Right. I mean,
it's never too early to get them hooked.
That's true because we know the only time I'm getting any action is when I'm knocking up my wife. Otherwise, it's my man parts are just for show, and even at that point, it's not a very good show.
And speaking of not very good shit, no, I'm just kidding.
Welcome to the Animation Station podcast.
Hey! So Liam, we've been kind of talking in text, but so in the news section, let's kind of talk about the Cowboy Bebop movie.
Perfect.
I'm sorry, it's not the movie anymore. It's a series now for Netflix.
Yes, which honestly, okay. So when it was still underneath the idea that it was going to be a film and wasn't Keanu Reeves linked to it at some point, that they were like, oh, he'll be Spike Spiegel, and then like I don't remember if he was for that one or they were going to do Akira and he was going to be Canada.
No, he was going to be Spike.
He was going to be Spike. Okay,
it was one of those where he wanted to be Spike, like actively.
But can we understand that sometimes when actors really want to play a particular role, that doesn't mean that they're a good fit, i.e. Nicolas Cage for Ghost Rider. Just because you're a super big fan of certain characters doesn't mean that you need to be cast a role. I love Gambit. Hell, I named my son Remy because I'm such a big fan of Gambit, but that does not mean I should ever play him in a film, even an animated film, as the voice actor. Because 1, I don't do a good Cajun accent. At 2, I'm a terrible person. So I'd much rather have somebody that can 1, do the accent, and 2, people actually enjoy. So I don't know, for that one, I appreciated his passion. If he wanted to be part of the project as like an executive producer or something, that's totally fine. Finance the film or the series or whatever, but that was about all of the involvement I was really hoping for him. Once they migrated that from standalone film to Netflix series, oh man, best decision they could have made for Cowboy Bebop, for adapting it for live action. And then let's get into the cast, man, because each person that they've cast has just elevated my excitement levels for this.
Yes, like when they announced. Because it was weird, because like they announced, like they already had pretty much everybody else, and then they announced John Cho.
Yes,
and it was like, oh, I get, like it was one of those ones where like everybody else had fallen under the radar,
right?
Or maybe they just hadn't like fully. They had announced it somewhere, but like nobody picked up on it until they were like, oh yeah, John Cho is Spike. And then they're like, oh, here's everybody else. And you're like, oh, Jeebus Crispies. And
it's crazy because you think about as soon as you heard that casting announcement, you were on board. You were like, yeah, of course, John Cho. Like, I mean, the White Journey to White Castle or White Burger, whatever the little
Good
comedy,
Burger.
Good Burger, yeah,
it was Good Burger.
Yeah, him and Keenan, it's great. But the White Castle movies, they were like funny, but not I don't know. They weren't really my style of comedy, but I still enjoyed him in the film. When they cast him as Sulu in the Star Trek films, I loved him when he does the sword fight on top of the floating generator thing or whatever.
Space sword fight.
Yeah. I was amazed what an action star he could easily be. So being cast as Spike Spiegel, who, as we all know, is a martial arts genius, this was perfect. I could not have been more excited about this casting, and I think that he will absolutely dive deep into like the Jeet Kune Do style of martial arts that is indicative of the character.
Yeah, that's the only issue that I've seen on some outlets is they've never seen him really do a lot of action, and that's the thing, because like Spike is action.
Oh,
and
100%.
That's some of the issue that they've had, because like nobody has seen him do anything outside of the little bit of stuff that he does in Star Trek. Like he doesn't do anything else. He's not done anything else. I mean, there's been some stuff where he's like had a gun and he's been shooting a gun and stuff like that. But I mean, there's been no martial arts with him. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play that and how he goes. I would love for them to release some sort of like teaser trailer or something just so they can kind of shut people up when they're like pop pop pop.
Yeah.
But I also kind of hope they don't do what they did with Iron Fist.
Oh, right.
Where it's just like cut.
Well, but that was the thing, is they learned their lesson from the first season of Iron Fist, and then the second one they very much kept away from the let's constantly cut away so you don't realize that it's a stunt double doing all of the martial arts work. I mean, he dove deep into trying to get cross-trained so that he could do his own stunts, and it was very noticeable in the second season that he had put in the work. So, I mean, it still wasn't perfect, but it was 10 times better than the first one.
Okay. Yeah, see, I didn't finish season 1.
I don't think a lot of people did.
I got to like maybe the second to last episode and I stopped.
Oh wow, you were so close.
I was so close, but then I just got so bored.
Right. So with John Cho as Spike Spiegel, I mean that's phenomenal. The fact that Shinichiro Watanabe, which was the director of the original anime, is actually serving as a consultant on the new series, like that to me, that's perfect. That means you have his vision, his input to really make sure that the ship is being steered in the right direction. Mustafa Shakir, who has joined on as Jet Black, was absolutely phenomenal in Luke Cage. The biggest complaint that I got from most people were that his Jamaican accent, not that it wasn't accurate, but that it was hard to understand. So for the second season of Luke Cage, that was people's main complaint, but like his physical presence was dominating. His martial arts were phenomenal. Just as a presence in the show, he definitely made himself known from the first episode that he appeared in. So I was actually really excited about that, and because he's not a super well-known actor, I think it'll be easy for people to identify him as this character, as Jet Black, and you don't have a lot of other parts that he's played that you're always comparing him to that. Like if it had been Keanu Reeves as Spike, we'd always been like, oh, it's Neo.
It's Neo.
Yeah. So I think
or John Wick in this. Nowadays.
Yeah. At this time, this year. But I like that. What about you? Had you seen that second season of Luke Cage or no?
I've not seen any seasons of Luke Cage.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Now I got a question. So you said that people didn't like his Jamaican accent. Is he from Jamaica? Is it his actual accent?
No.
Or is he putting on an accent for that character?
If I remember correctly, and I'll look that up right now, I believe he's British.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so let me actually look that up.
Would you like to hear him do more of like kind of go into like the Bo Billingsley type of accent, or would you prefer him? See, I think it would kind of be cool to make him like have him do his regular accent.
Right.
Like if he has a British accent, like let him do his British accent. Just let him talk normal.
Oh no, he's American. Okay, so it says that he is an American actor and rapper, best known for his portrayal of Bushmaster in Marvel's Luke Cage. So yeah, I mean he's an American. I'm fine with him just kind of doing his own voice, you know, like if he just kind of does his own. I don't want him to try to emulate what we heard in the anime series. Kind of same thing with John Cho. I just want him to.
Yeah, I don't want him to try and be Steve Bloom. I want him to give it his own.
Yeah, like let him create his version of the character, because even if you're not super dialed into what he does, you can always go back and watch the anime series to get the version that you prefer. But I would like these actors to really create their version of what the character should be, and I think that Mustafa will do perfectly with Jet Black. If anything, I almost want him to be a little bit more like grumpy. You know what I mean? But
Jet was grumpy at times, but he was very much like a mom.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But I kind of want Jet, instead of feeling like he's just babysitting Spike, I want him to feel more like a partner, like an actual partner, as opposed to just the doting grandma that's sitting on the ship going, "Oh, you're being crazy. You better tone it down." Like, I want him to kind of be in the thick of things with Spike.
Yeah, I would like to see that as well, because I mean, yeah, it's like Jet. I like Jet in the anime, but at the same time, I'm like, well, if Jet wasn't in the anime, he would be fine. You know?
Yeah. The so after Mustafa is Jet Black, we've got Daniella Pineda, who most people I think would know her from Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. She doesn't have a very large part, if I remember correctly. She's just she's like the
she's
like
one
the
of the
the babysitter, like, or scientist person that's part of the development team.
Well, no, in Fallen Kingdom, she's part of like the group that goes with what's her face's character.
Oh, with Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah, she's part of like her like Free the Dinosaur initiative type of thing.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
That's what she is, and she kind of like just kind of goes and is like on the island and is like, oh, dinosaurs are cool. I've never thought I'd get to see one like up close, and that was basically all she did.
Oh wow!
The entire movie.
See, and
you were like, oh cool, thanks.
That's
bye.
what kind of bummed me out too, is because like when I saw her, I was like, oh, she looks super familiar. And then I was like, oh, she was in Fallen Kingdom, and I could not for the life of me remember exactly what her role was. So I was like, oh, that sucks that she didn't make more of an impression. But with that movie, it's hard when it's a bunch of CGI dinosaurs, right? Like to stand out.
The main ones that they're focusing on are Bryce Dallas Howard,
Chris Pratt,
Chris Pine.
So Chris Pratt.
Yeah, no, Chris Pine. Yeah. It was weird that they kept cutting.
Yeah, it was good.
And he was just like, I'm not in the movie.
Super weird decisions in that sequel. But hey, you do you, boo boo. The thing is though, there have been pictures of her that look exactly like Faye Valentine. So I actually think that's a really good casting choice. But I worry that it may be too on the nose, and then at that point, like, you don't feel like there's any
make it almost where it looks like cosplay.
Yeah, kind of, and you don't feel like there's any separation from like her portrayal and just, oh, this is what Faye would look like if she was an actual human, like actual live action human.
As long as they don't give her like that stupid outfit, I think she'll be okay.
I would think in
like,
today's
if they don't give her that out, because I mean, yeah, there's no way that any like real actress would want to wear that.
Well, but remember, freaking what's her name? Olivia Munn pretty much wore Psylocke's costume in X-Men Apocalypse, and that one didn't translate well to live action. Not that she didn't look good, but it's just like, that's not an outfit I really want anybody to be wearing in a superhero movie.
And I've been to anime cons and I've seen, very attractive ladies dressed up like Faye, and you look at it, you're just like, that looks so cartoonish. Like, it doesn't look like, it doesn't look real.
Well, that, and it just looks uncomfortable. Like, I couldn't see somebody wearing that and being like, nah, I'm going to go fight. Like, it's anytime you see a action movie and the girl is kicking butt in heels. I'm like, hey, I'm super excited that you can do that. But the practicality of it is, you would never want to wear those shoes. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
So like when Bryce Dallas Howard,
runs,
outpaces a T-Rex.
My goodness, yeah. I mean, they're like we said, interesting choices. Keep cutting away to Chris Pine. I guess you do what you think was right for the movie. But yeah,
exactly.
But visually, like just her as a person, she looked very much like Faye. So I think that like, if you're trying to attract the crowd in that manner, I think that was a good casting choice. I just wish I was more familiar with her work so I could kind of weigh in on if I think that she would be a good fit acting wise. But visually, she looks it.
She's in one of those like vampire shows.
What
right?
If?
Like, I don't.
It also says she's in something called What If. I don't know what that is.
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I know she's in one of those vampire shows. I don't know which one, but like one of those 100,000 vampire shows.
Vampire Diaries?
Is that it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. She was cast as the witch Sophie for season 4, episode 20 of the CW's hit series The Vampire Diaries.
Oh, she was just like one episode?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then, yeah, that's kind of like the main stuff that I've really seen for her. Or that I'm looking on Wikipedia. That's the main stuff. So, yeah, but so after her, the last main cast, well, second to last, I should say, is Alex Hassel, who was from Suburbicon, the Red Sea Diving Resort, and he's actually playing Vicious. So,
yeah, I'm kind of intrigued that they're gonna bring Vicious in so early.
Yeah,
like I didn't think that they were gonna, go Vicious super soon. I thought that was going to be we're going to save Vicious for maybe like the last episode, and that way you can kind of introduce him like if you want to do a season 2.
My guess would be that they're going to use him sparingly. I guess would be the way.
Kind of like how they did with Kingpin.
Yeah. Well, to some degree.
In Iron Man or whatever that show was called.
Daredevil?
That's it.
Yeah, no. Well, in Daredevil, he was the main villain in the first season, and then second season, they used him kind of sparingly, and then brought him back heavy for the third season. I could actually see them using Vicious as like flashbacks, like, hey, this is how Spike and his former partner used to be, and he kind of has those flashback experiences. You end the season with like a cliffhanger that they meet up or run into each other, or you just cut away to Vicious being like, okay, now I'm going to go get Spike or something like that, and that leads you into the second season where it's going to be a little bit more all-out war, or maybe you go right into the thick of it because who's to say they sign it up for a second season. So it's like, well, if this is all we get, let's put Vicious in there, and then we'll worry about the second season if we get it.
Yeah, I can see that, but I mean, I can see them, putting more eggs in this basket than with Death Note.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, oh Lord, Death Note. I may or may not have watched that again.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And not liked it the second time.
Right.
Yeah, that was but we have one more casting mention that happened earlier last week.
Yeah, so with this one was a little bit interesting because for a lot of people, I think we just assumed they were going to go with a corgi, right? Like that's what we were used to from the anime series. It makes sense.
Obviously.
Corgis are adorable. There was really no reason not to go that route. But they actually ended up going with a husky. And it's a female husky as well. So this was,
and her name is Bella.
Bella. So I'm not, I don't know. I'm not like crushed by this. I mean, I'm a big fan of corgis. I mean, my dog is a corgi mix. So I would have loved to see that Pembroke corgi,
Same.
but it's not a must have for me. And the huskies are beautiful dogs as well. And this one actually looks kind of like a husky Shiba Inu mix.
Exactly. Yeah. She's definitely not pure Siberian husky.
No. But she's still a beautiful dog. She has the brown highlights with the white underbelly. So the coloration makes sense. And honestly, like if you're going to do a live action, you probably need a dog that's a little bit bigger. Corgis are small. Like they're
very small.
They're 20 to 30 pounds depending on if they're male or female. And that's like presence wise and height wise, it's just, you're going to have to do a lot of wide shots to be able to get them in frame, or you're going to have your characters constantly sitting.
Exactly. Or, they're going to have to be down a lot.
Yeah. Whereas they're knocked out on their butts for a majority of the show. So I think with this one, you've got a dog that's a 60-pound dog about waist high. It just visually it will make more sense. So as much as I would have liked to have seen them keep it true to form, this one I'm not heartbroken over.
Same. Now the last main character that we're really looking for is Ed. So I'm kind of interested in what they're going to do with Ed. So
do you feel like Ed is a necessity from the start, or do you feel like that's a character that could be introduced a little bit later on?
Honestly, okay, so I've said this to a couple friends, and they scoffed at me. But I honestly don't feel that you need Ed at all.
Yeah. And it's not that I don't like the character. It's just he/she. I know they kind of signify that she's a girl closer to the end, but she's not an integral character to the way the story progresses. This is very much Spike's story.
Exactly. And like the only reason Ein is there is because, you know, they stole Ein. And
Right.
they're like, we're just not going to eat the dog, even though Spike wants to. Because they're like, oh, we could have meat with our meat and
peppers and beef, but there's no beef.
Peppers and beef. Yeah. So like that, you know, Ein actually kind of plays a little bit of a purpose,
Yeah.
but I mean, Ed, not really, because really anybody could do Ed's job. Like, if you want to give Jet a little bit something more to do than be overly motherly and, you know, be on the ship.
Have him be the tech
make
guy.
Jet like the hacker, too.
Yeah. Which honestly would be kind of cool. Like, it would be nice to have that dynamic. I really think it is just if you feel that adding technically fifth character really does help round out the team, or if you're really just looking to appease fans, then yeah, you include Ed into the casting. But right now, I just don't think it's I don't think it carries the same weight that the other characters do.
Or if you make Ed just like a straight up hacker who's like hacked into the AI of the ship.
Yeah.
And so like you never like really see Ed. Ed's just kind of like pops on screens like a couple times. Like, did you watch Ghost in the Shell?
Yeah.
Like the standalone complex?
Yeah.
Kind of like the Laughing Man. So it would be like one of Ed's little like faces or whatever.
Well, yeah.
Like just kind of like popping up where Ed's face needed to pop up.
Well, you think about the positive reception. I know you're not a big Marvel fan, but you think of like Jarvis as the onboard AI for Iron Man. Like that, you never needed to see Jarvis's face to still feel that Jarvis was a character. So I think that Ed could very much be like the onboard AI, and you may not even need to see the face. You just hear that Ed is the voice of the Bebop, which I think would be kind of dope.
Yeah, but, you know, unfortunately, I don't think fans would go that far. I mean, fans are already like, I'm not going to see this because the dog isn't a corgi, you know?
It bothers me because it's like, do you like Cowboy Bebop? Then give it a chance. Just watch it. And if you don't like it, don't watch it again. Like, it's not that hard.
Exactly. It's like all you have to do is give it one episode. Just give it one episode, and then if you don't like the episode, then there you go.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I mean, usually you should give it 2.
Well, honestly, like I know you didn't, but I watched all of Iron Fist, and I mean, it was a little bit of a struggle to get through. It got better as it went along, but nowhere near as much as the other series. But that is, I don't know. That's
well, yeah. My thing though is like you were like the reason I didn't continue is I wasn't invested.
Yeah,
but
I was
had already
invested.
watched what Luke Cage, 2 seasons of Daredevil, and Jessica Jones
Exactly.
by the time Iron Fist came out.
Yeah.
So you were already interested in that universe, and I, you know, watched like 2 episodes of Daredevil, no episodes of anything else, and then went into Iron Fist because I was like, oh, I like Danny Rand's character in the comics.
right.
And then it was like, oh, who's this guy?
Yeah. And I think that's, and I get it. Like everybody's going to react to things in a different way, but I think sometimes we're so quick to dive onto the negative aspect of things, and I think for some people they kind of like relish that oh well, everybody loves this thing, I'm gonna hate this thing because then I'm different. And it's like, no man, like if you don't like it, you can just say, you know, it's not really my bag, and that's all it has to be. You don't have to expound your loathing of a particular fandom, because all you're doing is just alienating yourself from what you may actually enjoy if you just gave it the chance.
Exactly.
I mean, there's been, you know me, I love crapping on DC, but come on, man, I'll be first in line to watch the next Batman movie along with everybody else. Like, there are always going to be certain characters that bring us back. And even if the trailer makes the next Batman movie look like crap, I don't care. It's Batman. I'm still going to want to go see it. That's never going to change for me. But I get it. For me, I'm not a Superman fan. There's not a way you can make Superman look cool in my book. There's just no possible way. Shazam looked amazing from like the very first still image that we saw, but I've always been a fan of Shazam even when I was a little kid. So I get it. There's varying degrees of how people are going to take to things.
Exactly. And I mean, kind of going off of that, again, I'm not a Marvel fan, but Lord help me, I'm not going to see every freaking Guardians of the Galaxy because I love that first one so much.
Yeah.
And especially if we're going to have Fat Thor in Guardians 3, heck yeah, I'm going to go see that movie.
Right. So, I mean, and that's the thing is like...
Oh, I guess, is that a spoiler for Endgame?
Yeah.
It's been, what, 3 weeks now?
It's been a week.
well, when this comes out, it's been 2 weeks.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So it's been time.
There you go. Spoiler embargo is up, and it's not like I said who died.
Right. But that's the...
Stick around for the end of the episode and we'll tell you
We'll tell you everyone who dies. Everybody dies. No, but it's I think that's going to be something that the live action for Cowboy Bebop will struggle with in terms of the diehard fans will feel like this is a bastardized version of what they grew up loving. And I think it'd be the same thing if they want to do a live action Trigun, which obviously is the main thing we're going to talk about in the show is the anime. But if they want to do a live action, I'm going to be far more protective of that because it's my number one anime. And for other people, because Cowboy Bebop is their number one, they're going to be protective of it. I get it.
Yeah. And we'll, you know what we'll do at the end of this? We'll fan cast Trigun.
Oh man. Yes.
Yeah. That'll be fun. So anyway, so let's dive in. So a nice, good Lord, half the episode was talking about Cowboy Bebop. So that's a win-win. There you go. That's ToonaMay. And that's Tangents, brought to you by the Animation Station Podcast. Your number one source of tangenty goodness. So let's go ahead and talk Trigun. So Trigun was created by Yoshihiro Natao. I believe it's Natao.
Yeah.
It's like
Naitao, but I think it's just Natao.
Yeah. And it's basically a Western steampunk sci-fi crazy show, and it's amazing.
Right.
And I put it in that sci-fi realm only because of like the power plants and like the setting that this series takes place.
Planet Gunsmoke.
Because really, it kind of like Gunsmoke.
Yeah. No, that's the planet. It's called Planet Gunsmoke.
Oh, is it? Oh, wow, I didn't even know.
Oh,
that.
yeah. The planet that they're on that it takes place is called Planet Gunsmoke.
That's freaking amazing. But no, like, it takes place on this desert planet, and I love the fact that they have this ancient technology that is literally a light bulb.
Right.
And they just tap into that light bulb, and that's how they get this power. I thought that was one of the coolest things. And if that light bulb breaks, your entire town is doomed.
Right.
I always thought that was such a cool concept. So that's why I put it in that sci-fi realm. Even, I mean, I guess it is technically, a little sci-fi because it is, space is involved, but it's not as sci-fi as, say, Cowboy Bebop.
Right.
Where it's all space, all the time. But I mean, I think Trigun, definitely hits in that like westerny steampunk sci-fi realm. So it's definitely a different show for especially what you had originally had on Toonami. You had like, what did you have? You had like Gundam Wing,
right?
Neon Genesis Evangelion, Sailor Moon, Tenchi Muyo. You had Outlaw Star. You had all of these, mainly like sci-fi or some type of, different show. And then there was Trigun, which is definitely something I think that a lot of, people here in America gravitated towards because, hey, our whole, like, we do cowboys and everything like that. That's, what a lot of kids play a lot of kids play when they're younger. So, I mean, the fact that we got an anime that was basically a cowboy shoot 'em up thing, I think that's why one of the reasons that it resonated so well with an American audience.
Right. Well, and I think to some degree as well, I think what I had mentioned earlier, how there was that finite amount of episodes, so it was easier for people to kind of get involved because they weren't before that, you figured there was, Dragon Ball and then Dragon Ball Z, which you were like, oh, there's 9 million episodes of this. So it was hard to really feel invested in any one particular episode because there were so many of them. Whereas with this, every episode, there's no fluff episode. Every episode contributes something to the overall story arc, which is not something that I think American anime fans were really used to up to that point. And I think that's why this resonated with more people when it kicked off. Yeah,
and I mean, there are a couple episodes that are very, floofish.
Yeah.
Mainly towards the beginning. Because in the beginning, you're still kind of, dressing everything up. But then when we get, like, more into the gung-ho guns, and it just starts kicking off, and then you get the whole bit with knives, and you're like, oh my gosh, everything just like happened. Like all kinds of craziness just happened. Like what happened to this goofy show where these dudes were on a train and there was a who knew the train, and like what happened here? How did this sand steamer thing go so wrong?
Yeah, how does this spin so wildly out of control? But I think that was what, like, I don't know. There was a point in time that I was not a huge fan of like bad guy of the day type shows, but with this one, for whatever reason, it honestly worked. And the fact that you had such a flawed hero, I think, just elevated the entire show. Like, you literally have a hero that everybody is out for the $60 billion double dollar bounty, and yet he is still trying to save people and do it in a way that nobody gets hurt except for him. That's amazing.
Exactly.
It's that is the like the perfection of a flawed hero. And I just, from like the very first episode, I was locked in on this one.
Oh yeah, it's definitely. And by the way, $60 billion double dollars is like the best thing ever. So it's like, so wait, is that like $120 billion? I'm confused on what a double dollar is. It's like double dollars are like right up there with Woo.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, pretty much.
And like wonderful anime currency. And then you have this you have this main bit with, Vash, and he's the humanoid typhoon. He is this wanted criminal because he destroyed a town and apparently killed all these people, even though he didn't. But we'll say that he did. Spoilers for Trigun, the show that came out like 25 years ago. So like there's this whole thing that goes on with him, but then you have these two other characters who may be my two favorite like non-main characters in any anime series.
Right.
You have Meryl and Millie from the Bernardelli Insurance Association.
And it's such a
I freaking love them.
Oh man, they're so like needlessly phenomenal as the inclusion of it as they start to bridge out the additional characters in the show, especially because they're pretty much the first characters that we meet.
Yeah, they're the first characters that we meet, and because that's how. Because like whenever Vash is going to this town, they're supposed to follow him to basically make sure that, hey, please don't wreck anything, because if you wreck things, then our insurance agency has to cover this. It's such a great little. It's like the stupidest dynamic, but it's amazing.
Yeah. No, I think with that. Like you think about that story arc and you always feel like, well, they're never going to move the needle on this. Like there's never going to be a point where this feels like relevant to the overall story. But then as it continues on and you see how the relationships between the characters develop, you get so attached to every single one of them that when there's an episode that you don't see them, you get bummed out. You're like, well, where's Meryl?
Yeah, you're like, wait, where's Meryl? Are they okay? Like, what's going on? And especially in the early ones, they would always pop up. Like going back to that sand steamer episode, it's like they snuck aboard because they still had to follow him, but they didn't have any money, so they had to like work in the cafeteria. Yeah. And you're like, that's beautiful, that's fantastic.
Well, and you obviously like when you go from there, the other main character, and he was my favorite in the show, Nicholas Wolfwood. I mean,
I think everybody loved Nicholas Wolfwood.
Yes, and it's one of those. I don't know. It's one of those characters that you immediately want to know everything about him, and they give you as it goes on, they give you a little bit more, but they never really paint the whole picture for you. And I love that. I think that's why characters like Boba Fett had always been such a fan favorite, because you almost preferred to know nothing about the character. You just wanted to be able to see him on screen, and that was sufficient. You're like, yeah, if you want to give me a little bit about him, that's fine, but I'm perfectly okay with just knowing him as he is right now and knowing that he's a total BA.
Definitely. And then we kind of mentioned them earlier. Like we get when we get more end gamey, we get to the Gung Ho Guns and Legato.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It's so good, and it's when you get to the Gung Ho Guns and then you kind of build on that and you get to start to see what their connectivity is to the main storyline and like how, you know, with Legato and with Millions Knives, like as you start to understand, it's almost like where the camera starts. It's zoomed in on one piece of a puzzle, and as the camera slowly moves out, you realize that there's 1,000 puzzle pieces that are all trying to fit together. And so when you finally understand the entirety of the story, then it's the end. It was like episode 26 or whatever, and they're like, and that's all we give you. Sorry. Have fun.
Exactly. You're like, oh, wait, huh? Why did it just end? And like, they definitely set it up to be like, oh, you know, we can bring this back anytime.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But then they were like, or we could just not.
Unlike Bebop, where they're like, it ends and you're like, the series is done.
Yeah.
Like, Trigun was one of those where you're like, oh, Trigun can come back, you know? And they kind of did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they
like in the
see,
middle.
but they did the same thing with Trigun that they did with Cowboy Bebop. Is they're like, okay, here's a long form movie in OVA, and we're gonna put that in a like within a mid-20s episode. So like, oh, this one occurs between episode 21 and 22, so it's 21.5, and you're like, okay, but why didn't you just continue on from the series or give me a prequel or something? Like, I think there's
where was my, how come I didn't get my episode where Meryl and Vash get together? Because that was there the entire time. It was more prominent than, you know, Spike and Faye.
Oh yeah, but I think that's. But isn't that isn't that kind of where it gets to be almost frustrating? Because you're just like, I know there's more story to tell. Just tell me. Just give me more story.
Yeah, I mean, especially because I mean, like we don't get a lot with, you know, the colony ship with, you know, Young Knives and Young Vash and Rim. You don't get like a whole bunch with that. You get like what, an episode?
Yeah.
We get a single episode. Like, we could have had like a full, like almost like a Dragon Ball Z, like brawly type of, or not brawly, like that one DBZ episode with Goku's dad. I don't remember what the name of the stupid movie was, but like that whole entire bit where it was just like everything leading up to before when Goku got, you know, sent off Superman style to Earth.
Right.
It's like we could have gotten that and gotten a little bit more info of like, you know, hey, why, you know, what was up with this colony ship? You know, it's all big, one big experiment. So like, but what's it all for? Type of thing. Like that would have been pretty interesting. But you know, we get random episode in the middle of everything.
Pretty much. And I don't know. I think that's always going to be the issue with these types of series, is because you want more, but then there's that part of you that's a little bit afraid that like, hey, if you give me too much, is it going to spoil everything? You know?
Definitely. So
I don't know. I think it's always a crapshoot, but I think with this particular anime, I am actually fine with what we've got. You know, I think it's 26 or 28 episodes, and then
I believe it's 26, and then we get an hour and a half.
Yeah, for Badlands Rumble, which was still a incredibly fun romp back into the desert, back into the world of Planet Gunsmoke. So I was fine with it.
So did you watch, like when you watched it, Toonami?
No,
right?
So actually I did not watch this on Toonami. So no, it was okay.
Well, thanks for coming on the Toonami
right?
episode.
No, well, not initially. I shouldn't say that I never watched it on Toonami, but that wasn't my initial introduction to it. I was actually working at a comic book shop at the time, or like 2002, I want to say was when because it was after my freshman year of college. So yeah, I'm old. Thanks, guys. So I had come back home, started working at a comic book shop. And one of the other workers had a shirt, like a Trigun shirt. It was just gray, and it had like multiple pictures of Vash on it, and him holding, you know, like his signature gun. And I was just like, "Oh, I was like, "Oh, is the gun he has, is that a Trigun?" And he looked at me like, "Are you kidding me right now?" And I was like, "No, I have no idea what that is." And he was like, "Sit down." And like he was trying to explain to me the show. And luckily, this is how dated I is right now. The comic book shop actually did rentals, like VHS anime rentals. So you could rent these episodes, but the tapes that we had, it would be like tape 1 had like 2 or 3 episodes on it, right? But it would be subtitles, and then tape 2 would have 4 episodes on it, but it would be overdub. So there was no consistency to the tapes that we had. And then eventually, like as CDs obviously or DVDs were way more prevalent, the comic book shop sold off all of the VHS. So I bought all the tapes that we had, but we only had tapes 1 through 6. So we didn't have 7 and 8. Oh. So I never got to see how the series ended. So I was searching everywhere trying to find it, and the only thing I could find was a 8 DVD box set that had to be imported. So I think I paid like $112 for it or something.
That sounds about right.
And so I got that. I still have the box set. It is like my prized possession. I love it. And I also had ordered like little mini busts of the Trigun characters. So I have Millie, Knives. There's 2 different Vashes. There's like regular Vash, like Angel Vash, and then like a dark Vash, like a weird emo Vash. Legato and Cyclops, the girl. So those are the 6. It was like random. I was like, really? You don't get Millie? You don't get Meryl? You get Millie, and no Nicholas? I was like, that's kind of weird, but whatever. That was the only busts.
But you got Cyclops.
Exactly. Why not? And her hat falls off all the time. So I got those. That's how I saw the last, I think it was probably like 5 or 6 episodes. So I finally had gotten to see the series, and then I realized it was on Toonami, and I was like, oh, I could have just watched it on here and finally seen it. But I'll be honest, I'm actually super excited that I still have that box set and that I ever actually purchased it, because it allowed me to really dive deep into the characters in each episode, because I could just sit there and watch it over and over again.
Yeah. I mean, mine was a little bit different, because I remember watching it on Toonami, but I never remember finishing it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I remember it was on, and I remember watching it, and then it was one of those times where I was a kid, and it was like, oh, it was probably went to some sort of camp or something, was gone for like a month, and then came back and were like, oh yeah, I have no idea what's going on, or it was just off, or so. I don't remember, but I don't remember ever finishing it. I remember it being good, but I never remember finishing it. And then I ended up getting the Funimation channel. Back when AT&T Uverse had the Funimation channel, when it played anime all the time, like 24/7, it was just different anime. And usually what they did was they would get like a block of anime, and then they would loop it. And then you get another, probably, like a 5-hour block, and then they would just loop this 5-hour block until the next week, and then there would be a new 5-hour block that they would just loop and loop and loop, which was actually genius. It was like, oh, so I'm going to watch this over and over and over. And that was the first time that I ever saw the movie Summer Wars, and the first time that I saw Trigun Badlands Rumble.
Nice.
And I remember watching those movies so many times. That's why, Summer Wars, favorite anime movie, because I can quote the stupid thing. Because I've seen it so many times. Same thing with Badlands Rumble. I can tell you scene by scene what is going to happen, because I think I've seen that. I would say I've seen Trigun Badlands Rumble more times than I've been to church. I'm just kidding. That's not true.
I was about to say that's pretty bold right there, bro.
I mean, yeah, it's one of those where it's like I just know that so well, because with the movies, you would get those for an entire month. So you would get that playing at least 3 to 4 times a day, every single day for a month.
Yeah.
And when you're Josh, who's bored, especially when the Xbox had that wonderful Connect feature where you could have TV going and be playing your game at the same time, Josh would literally just pop it on Funimation channel and just play video games the entire time. So have anime and video games going at the same time. So, but yeah, that made me want to get back into Trigun, and then I got back into it, and then I was like, oh yeah, this definitely is one of the best series. So you watch it. So you had this old box set. So were you watching it subbed or dubbed?
For me, I usually I'll watch it the first time subtitled, because I feel like you get a little bit more depth to the dialogue. But with this one, especially because I had already seen the tapes, so I had already heard Johnny Yong Bosch doing the voice of Vash, I pretty much went exclusively to watching it in the overdub, just because I think he does such a phenomenal job. I mean, his work on Bleach, I mean, his work on Trigun, obviously, and you can hear him as bit characters in everything from like Cowboy Bebop to Naruto. I mean, he's in or Full Metal Alchemist. He's in everything.
In
well, yeah, obviously as Kaneda. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal how with his voice he doesn't do a lot of change with it, but it's subtle. It's just enough that you can differentiate one character to the next, and I just think he does a phenomenal job with it.
And what's great is that was his first anime role. Like that's what makes it so good. Because like even like I started going and I was rewatching, and getting through it, like just listening, you're like, there are a couple bits where you can kind of tell that like he's kind of like, you know, he's kind of new to it, but like everything else, he's just like giving it all he's got, and you're like, good Lord, son, that was fantastic. Yeah. But yeah, let's kind of go through like the mains of the English dub, because I mean I've only ever seen the English. But we have Johnny Young Bosch as Vash the Stampede, and friend of the show, Mr. Bryce Pappenbrook as Young Vash. Then we had Dorothy Fawn as Meryl in the anime, and then Lucy Christian in Trigun Badlands Rumble. And if you want to hear a wonderful episode with Dorothy Fawn, stay tuned for Friday's episode where we have a nice little interview with her. Then you have Millie Thompson, who was Leah Sargent in the anime, and then Trina Nishimura in Trigun Badlands Rumble. Then you had Nicholas D. Wolfwood, who was Jeff Nimoy from Digimon fame in the anime, and Brad Hawkins in Badlands Rumble. And then you have Millions Knives, who was Kirk Bailey in the anime, and young Millions Knives was the incredibly talented Mr. Joshua Seth. So you had Tetsuya and Kaneda
playing roles in another another anime
that were basically themselves.
Right? No, but like at the end of the
and then I guess Legato, which is Richard Casanino. Right. Casanino? I believe is.
Hey man, I'll trust you on this one. So
Cancino. Canto Bop. Richard Canto Bop.
We'll allow it.
No, we won't. We won't allow Canto Bop on this podcast.
Sure. If that's what it takes, man. Whatever it takes.
If that's
whatever it takes.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's our. Oh, I guess there's also Rim, who's basically just like Fash,
right,
half the time. Ruby Marlowe, and that's our main heavy hitters. So what did you think of the cast? You know, so. I mean, other than Vash, fantastic. But what did you think of the cast for the show?
I mean, I loved it. I mean, there was never a point where the character's voice didn't feel like it fit to the character. Like even when you get into like the Gung Ho Guns, where everybody is very exaggerated. The what's the crazy family with the old man?
I know exactly who you're talking about. Oh,
yeah, but the whatever family, it's like a state. It's like they're like the Tennessee family or something like that. I don't remember. But anyway, so they're like even with those characters, like they are the stereotypes, you know, of the typical American voice that you hear in a lot of the overdubs, but it still works. It's still exactly what you would expect. You know, I know on the podcast that I do with Brittany, we've talked before about how the anime that I always remember myself as sort of the introduction were the fairy tales, the Grimm's fairy tales that they used to air on like the Disney Channel way back in like, I don't know, like early 90s or whatever. But with that one, like you would have this, the stereotypical old man from obviously the deep south of America. Like that was just the same voice that you heard anytime there was an old man on screen, but it always worked because when you saw him, you would expect it. It was the same thing.
That old man McGucket character.
Oh my gosh. That's exactly what it is. So you think about that and you would almost feel remiss if you didn't hear that voice, you know? So I don't know. I kind of liked the I liked the selection of characters, but I think at the end of the day, that's their job. Like they're supposed to help bring these characters to life.
Yeah, man, I was listening to you talk, but that is like bugging me. The name of that stupid. It's definitely a state.
Nebraska family.
That's
Nebraska.
Yeah,
found it.
Stupid Nebraska family.
Reddit.
Did you have to look
Had
that
to
up?
look on Reddit.
Oh, you punk.
Yeah.
You punk. You gotta use your
my
mind.
Hey man, I thought
eye.
Wednesday was Thursday this week, so my mind is gone.
No, Wednesday is
Yes,
Adams.
that's true. That's I won't lie. You are true. You are very much on point with that one.
Thank you. I try, and so is Pubert, the youngest of the Adams children, who has a mustache, and whose name is Pubert, which is just sad. Yeah, like it's so good, and like you have like there's definitely a wide variety of characters, and they all do so well. Like between Johnny and Dorothy and Jeff, like you have all these really good voice actors, and it's definitely not one where they're phoning it in. Because like there are definitely, especially animes of that time, where you can tell that they're kind of phoning it in because they're not used to it. Like if we're gonna go there, Gundam Wing.
Right.
Like half of Gundam Wing, you're just like, oh god, just do something. I mean, anything.
I feel
like get emote.
Well,
somehow,
I feel like we ran into that a little bit with Attack on Titan, where there's certain characters that you're just like, ooh, really? Like that was what you wanted to go with? But you almost overlook that because the story is so good that you can kind of sideline some of the weird voices that creep in there just because you're like, oh, but I'm so invested in the story, I'm fine.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that it's a I don't know. I think it's a fine line that you have to walk where you want to sound convincing enough that you are only adding to the story, but you also have to remember that they're in the confines of trying to fit dialogue to the mouth movements that were animated for a different language. So, I mean, and I get it. Still, at the end of the day, like that's their job, but that is the I mean that is where where there's difficulty in mastering that role.
Definitely, yeah. And I mean, especially for the time.
Oh, for sure.
You just look at it and you're like, man, yeah, this was fantastic.
Well, you figure it was what, 98? Was 98, 99?
Yeah, it would have been 99.
Yeah, so I mean, you've got to figure at this point, like we're 20 years from when that occurred. Like you watch anime now, it is very different. I still think that you can watch anime now and it's still not going to be as good as Trigun, but I think that Trigun had that perfect storm between, just the style, the storyline, and the acting. I think was phenomenal on both sides. Mm-hmm. Even if you watch the subtitled version, the original Japanese cast is amazing. Like you can feel every ounce of emotion, whether it's Vash is being a goofball with like the weird cartoony Shin-chan type anime, or if it's he's full on bleeding to death because he's been shot too many times. Like I thought they struck a really good balance with this show.
I agree. And you also, I mean, and the show gave you so much. It's like you have comedy, you have drama, you have whatever it was that Millie and Wolfwood had, that one
bizarre romance,
night.
Like just out of left field, like, all right, and now that's a thing that's happened.
And then it's like, all right, I had Millie, I'm gonna go off and die. And then you're like, oh, okay, bye, Nick.
It's been real.
Didn't say anything to anybody, just was like, deuces.
And it's been real. It's been fun, but it hasn't been real fun. But you almost feel like with that send off for that character, it makes sense because it wouldn't have.
It does make sense.
Yeah, I mean, he was the Han Solo of the group. Like he was the more rugged outlaw, whereas with Vash, he's the misunderstood hero. And the fact that he was capable of as much destruction as he was hope is what made him such an interesting character. Whereas with Nick, he basically is just like, I used to be a preacher, not the kind of preacher you think. And you're just, okay, I guess. And then when he throws the cross to Vash, and Vash is like, oh, why is it so heavy? And he's like, because it's full of mercy. And you're like, oh, it's religious. And then you're like, no, it's full of guns. His mercy is shooting people. Awesome. Like, it's just man, I could gush on for hours about just the minutia of how great every single character was in the show. It's just, to me, this is an anime that I easily go back and watch every single year.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those where it's definitely worth it. Like Trigun Badlands Rumble, like if I'm feeling down, I will put that anime in. Just because I'm like, I know this will make me feel happy.
No, for sure. And
I mean, it's definitely got sad parts in it, but I mean, the overall tone of the movie is very like a like a slapsticky type of movie.
Well, and I would be interested to see how many listeners that you have that are familiar with this anime. Like, not just familiar in like I've seen a poster or I watched an episode, but really have like dived deep into this show and really absorbed it multiple times. And it wasn't like, I watched the series once, 10 years ago and that was it. Like, I wonder if this has resonated with as many people as it has with us.
Oh, I wonder, man. We'll find out. Well, let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, right? There you go.
Oh, man. So, okay. So let's kind of go and roll in quickly. Let's talk about our fan cast for Trigun.
Nice. I was going to ask you. Okay, so initially, I think everybody sort of jumps to like the main big Hollywood actors, right? Like I've seen people throw like Bradley Cooper's name as possible for Vash. I've seen people throw Chris Pratt because they're like, oh, he did so good as Star-Lord. He would be great as Vash. And I'm like, no, because you're always going to just see Star-Lord. He is iconic as Star-Lord. So especially putting him in a trench coat is going to be too on the nose. It's going to be too similar.
It's like he's already Vash.
He's already played that role. He doesn't need to. And honestly, you know me when it comes to casting for anime, right? Like and I get it, like with Vash, he very much looks like a Caucasian male with, spiky blonde hair, but I would actually go Asian casting for majority of your main characters. I think you can throw some other ethnicities in for some of the characters as well, but I would actually probably go predominantly Asian, especially for like our main 4 characters.
Really? See, like, so I was thinking while we were talking, and I was like, you know what who would be like, who is a Hollywood actor who gets like no love whatsoever, who I think could actually do it? Armie Hammer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could actually see that.
I think Armie Hammer would do a knock-up job at it. Like, I think he would be fantastic.
True. No, I think he would do well. I did enjoy him in Lone Ranger, even though that was a box office bomb that was fairly universally panned. But I liked it.
Like, he was not bad in the movie.
Yeah.
So like that's why I think, I think he would be okay.
I think he would do well. For me, the one that kind of stood out was actually Louis Tan. Most people would know him from Into the Badlands, Deadpool 2. He played Shatterstar. He was in the first season of Iron Fist.
That was Shatterstar?
He was Shatterstar. Louis Tan was Shatterstar.
Holy crap.
Yes.
Dude, that like blew my mind.
So you already know he can do comedy, right? Like you already know he can be self-referential. You know that he has the martial arts experience because he's the drunken boxer that you see in, I think, the 7th episode of Iron Fist. So it's, you know he can do the martial arts aspect of it. You know he can do the comedic timing, and I feel like he's a British-born, Singapore American actor that, for me, I feel like he just hasn't really gotten his time in the limelight, and I feel like this would be the proper vehicle to get him there.
He would make a great Wolfwood.
He would, but I think I've got a better choice for Wolfwood. So with Louis Tan, you put him in blonde hair. He's a very handsome man, and
I don't even think you give him blonde hair. I mean, like,
oh no, you have to. I would bleach the hell. I would bleach the hell out of his hair.
That's gonna look so weird, though.
No, it's perfect. Trust me. It'll look so good. So I think you put it on him. I think it'll completely work.
Okay. So who do you have for Meryl? Because I have my Meryl.
Okay, go ahead. Who? No,
Jessica
you want me?
Henwick.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
I think Jessica, like, because like to me, she was good in Iron Fist.
Yes, she was my favorite part in Iron Fist. She was absolutely my favorite part.
Like on it, and when she was in Game of Thrones, she was my favorite of those 3 Sand Snakes in Game of Thrones because I'm like, oh, this one's actually good. And then she was in Star Wars, and then she died the stupidest way possible in Star Wars.
Yeah, that was very much a cop out, which was kind of a bummer. But
I was like, yeah, the cool female pilot, they're just like, oh, we're just gonna blow her up. Not even in a space combat. Just, she was in the hangar and she blew up. It's like, oh, well, that sucked. Yeah,
where you're like, oh, okay, I guess that's what we're gonna deal with now. I actually have two choices that I would have for Meryl, and the first one is actually Jamie Chung, who I think most people would know her either as she plays Mulan in ABC's Once Upon a Time, and then she is also the voice of Gogo Yamato in Big Hero 6. She's also she's also currently in Gifted. She plays Blink in Gifted. So she's done. She kind of rose to stardom in the early 2000s as a cast member for Real World, which was definitely a strike against her. But I think from that she's really progressed, and I feel like she does have she's a good actress and she has good comedic timing, and she's a little more blunt, which I feel like Meryl kind of needs to be. Whereas Millie is kind of a little not airheaded, but she's a little more happy-go-lucky, and I think Jamie Chung could actually do a pretty good job. The other actress I think would do really well, even though she didn't have a huge role in Captain Marvel, is Jemma Chan. She was recently in Crazy Rich Asians. She was in Crazy Rich Asians.
Is she the main character in Crazy Rich Asians?
No, she's the sister whose marriage is falling apart.
Okay.
But she was great in Crazy Rich Asians. I actually thought she did well with the limited amount of screen time that she did have in Captain Marvel. And then she's also more recently in Mary Queen of Scots alongside Margot Robbie and Saoirse Ronan. So she's done a couple different things. She has a very regal, very beautiful appearance, and I think that would be a nice balance to my choice for her co-star, who was also in Crazy Rich Asians, Constance Wu, who I think most people originally know her from Fresh Off the Boat, who has a much better comedic timing and can be deadpan, but can also be incredibly positive in some moments as well. So I actually like that. I think they would have a good balance, and they've already worked together on Crazy Rich Asians.
I mean, if you're going to go there, throw Awkwafina as Millie. That would be the most random, bizarre craziness, and I think that would be kind of funny.
She could work. I think if you wanted to go
a little bit more bumbling sidekick.
Yeah, a little bit. I think that does actually work.
You know those wonderful like Japanese like crazy or like this Chinese Japanese like crazy movies.
Yeah.
Where they're like all kinds of, and you always have like that bumbling male sidekick.
Right.
I think Awkwafina would make like the best. Like,
well, you could use
female sidekick.
You could use her. You could use Margaret Cho, because she's already a comedian, and I think that she would actually do a really good job with the role as well. If you're trying to keep the cast fairly young, then I'm with you. I think you could probably go with Awkwafina. With her, I would just fear that she's very much a one-trick pony, and you would just get the exact same character that she played in Crazy Rich Asians, and that's not quite what I would see for Millie, but I'm open to people having their own interpretation of the character.
Millie's a hard one for me to cast. Like, I don't know who I would do for Millie.
Oh, and I've seen some people throw like Natalie Portman as a possible actress, but I don't know. For me, like, unless you're gonna go with somebody that physically has the same dominating appearance that Millie has in the anime, I just don't know. That one was a little bit harder to go with. I kind of would want to stick with actresses that probably have worked together, so they already have that chemistry.
Okay, I can see that.
So for Nicholas D. Wolfwood, I actually have Alex Landy. So I think most people know him as he's Dr. Nico Kim from Grey's Anatomy, and he's the first gay male surgeon. And he's actually a New York native with Korean and Italian descent. He is a gorgeous man, and I think that
Lord Almighty, hello.
Yes, gorgeous. So I think you actually need him to be Nick because you need him to be better looking than Vash. I think that should be part of their dynamic, and I would actually love it.
The second picture of him on IMDb is him shirtless.
Yes, and you're like, oh, thank God.
I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, hello, sir.
Yes, so I think if you have Louis Tan, who, as we've seen with Shatterstar, can be a little bit goofy, but Nicholas could be a little bit more serious, and I'd actually dig it if there was kind of a sexual tension between the two of them, and you could just be like, is Nick hitting on Vash right now? Like, what's happening?
Amazing.
I actually think that'd be a fun dynamic. So, yeah, that was kind of my main cast for the main four. Some of the other characters were a little bit harder to go with. I like Charles Melton, who I think most people know him from either American Horror Story Hotel or Riverdale. He actually replaced Ross Butler in the second season of Riverdale. Another very handsome man, but he has a very dark features, the way that his cheekbones are, the way that his jawline is, and he has longer hair. I think he would actually play a really good Millions Knives because I think he can play a little bit more of he can be kind of a dick, and I think that would work.
Yeah. So my character could either be Knives or he could be Wolfwood, because honestly, heck, he could be Trigun. Only because like I've watched him act, like he's a Game of Thrones actor, so
okay.
that takes your Asian equation basically out of the entire thing. But Nikolai Coster-Waldau.
Okay, yeah.
I see, because like he's goofy enough to where he could be a Vash, but when he needs to be serious, he could do it. So plus he's pretty, so I think he would make, if he's gonna be like evil, if he does his like whole little like type of thing, I think he would be a great Knives.
Oh, there you go.
Or
if
he is going to be like what was it, like Gods of Egypt, I think he was, when he was Horus. Is like he's very like the entire time, very like, I am this dude, so he would make a good Knives there. But I mean, just kind of watching him in Game of Thrones, and like especially if he has good chemistry with the other characters and he can play off of them, he's a really funny actor.
Nice.
So I like with him, he could be any of those three for me. I would love to see him just in something.
So you know what though? I think that would actually work.
Other than in Black Hawk Down, where he's that one Delta Force sniper that gets like killed,
and that you're like, and he's gone. No,
yeah.
I actually think that would work, and I would be interested to see how that chemistry between, because depending on what role he goes with, right? If he's Vash or if he's Nick, and who do you cast opposite him to maintain that chemistry? Yeah. Also, I've changed my mind on Meryl. I want Fan Bingbing as Meryl, and I want Jemma Chan as Rem.
Fan Bingbing?
So, did you see X-Men Days of Future Past? It was
yes.
Okay, she is Blink in that one, in Days of Future Past.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I mean, she's beautiful. I know she was in like some legal trouble in China because of like tax evasion or something, or she was taking roles on but getting paid like under the table. So I don't know if she's even still viable as an actress anymore. But I think like visually, if you look at her, she kind of looks like Meryl. So I think that she would actually play the role really well. In which case, then yeah, you just move Jemma Chan over to be Rem, which I think would work out really cool as well.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure she's doing anything anymore.
No, I don't think so. So I mean, it's
we could bring her back.
Yeah, this could be her big breakthrough back into the limelight.
Exactly. Get her an American working visa and put her in Netflix.
Yeah, we're down. I'm sure. Hey, Netflix has all the money, so I think they can make it happen.
Yeah, Netflix would just be like, yeah, well, we're good.
So we fan casted, but I think the ultimate question is this an anime series that you want to see adapted into a live action, either film or a Netflix series similar to what we're about to see with Cowboy Bebop?
No.
You're fine with just keeping it the anime, the manga, that's it?
I'm fine with keeping it I mean, I've never read the manga. I'm fine keeping it the anime. Now, if they were to announce, be like, hey, by the way, we're doing Trigun, I'd watch it. Because I'm like, I love Trigun. But it's one of those, if they're like, all right, you have all the money, you can make one anime TV show, what are you going to make?
What are you going to adapt?
I don't think I would choose Trigun.
No.
Just because, like, I would be too obsessed with it, and it would never be perfect.
Right. Well, don't they say that all great art is only abandoned, never finished, never fully complete? So when you think about it in that regard, like people like you and I may be too close to the source material to be able to separate ourselves from what is a good decision story-wise based in the medium that we're operating in versus trying to stay true to the source material.
Exactly. And it's one of those where it's too goofy in a lot of scenes where I don't think you can translate a lot of Vash's goofiness into an actual human character.
Right.
And then we forgot another major character that is in every single episode.
That cat. That black cat.
We can't do anything with that cat. We can't cast that cat.
Well, I don't know.
It's
They made it work with Goose in Captain Marvel, and that was it was an interesting decision to include, but it worked and it added to the story. And I think if
What's
anything,
Goose? I don't know.
Oh, you probably in the Captain Marvel posters or the ad material, you probably saw like a little orange cat.
Yeah, I saw a cat.
Yeah,
but isn't that like ripped out Nick Fury's eye or some garbage?
Hey, spoilers, bro. But
sorry, that movie came out like 2 months ago.
Right. But no, Goose is Carol Danvers' cat, Captain Marvel's cat. So, and it is more than a cat. I will leave it at that.
Oh, is it one of those Krillians?
Scrolls? No.
That's it.
No.
It's not a scroll? Okay.
No, it's not a scroll.
Oh. Dang.
Sorry, hopefully that didn't ruin the movie for anybody. But yeah,
it came out 2 months ago.
2 weeks ago. You're like, it came out 2 hours ago. How dare you not have seen it? No, I think you could include the cat. I just don't think it would play the part that it plays. Or like maybe you do like what was that TV show with what's her face that married the one of the brothers from Good Charlotte?
What?
She was a TV show, and randomly they would do cutaways where it was her as a 2D drawn character.
Oh, Lizzie McGuire.
Yes, thank you. Okay,
and you cut, and it's just like a random cat. No. Actually, you know what they should do? There's a black cat that we could totally get. I don't think they're using that puppet from Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like the Cat in the Hat. I was like, yeah, he's probably not getting a whole lot of work
Jim
anymore.
Carrey pops up, he's like, I'm trying,
No, wasn't that Mike Myers? Was Cat in the Hat?
Myers?
Yeah, Jim Carrey was the Grinch.
Jim Carrey was the Grinch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of those movies.
No, I watched the Grinch. I didn't watch Cat in the Hat. That one looked rough. But no, I think if you could try it that way. But honestly, I probably wouldn't go for the same type of comedic tone that you use in the anime. I would just do like Guardians comedy, like where it's conversational. It's just included in the regular dialogue. That's the way that I would play it. I probably wouldn't go full on like Vash crying and his arms are doing the wacky waving inflatable flailing arm tube man thing. Or Kermit the Frog, however you want to look at it.
Or he's like tied up and like his legs are doing that whole like fan thing and you can't see his legs and he's just moving like from side to side.
Yeah.
Like, don't hurt me though, I just want to get out of here, blah, 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 blah.
Lobster
or he does
walk.
that inchworm thing when, there's a really hot girl and he's
he's crawling towards them.
Inchworm.
See, but you think about that, like how do you play that in reality, right? Where you could easily have him just cower. Like he's just like cower up with like his hands over his face. He's like, please don't shoot me. And they're just like, oh, what a coward. Like you could still play it in a way that you're like, oh man, this dude is he's not a hero. He's not brave, but
yeah, I mean, I see you could do some cool camera angle stuff with that where it's like, yeah, you see him like tied up and then like it'll do like a quick cut and he'll be like completely on the other side of the room.
Yeah.
Like he'll be like hiding behind Meryl and you're like, wait, how the heck did you get, something like that.
Yeah.
I think that would be too jarring for most people though.
But I think if
you did it a lot, but I think it would be funny.
I think at that point you just have to set that mood from the get-go, that you have to let the audience know at the beginning this is what they're in for. Because if you go like super super dark and serious right in the beginning and then try to introduce comedy, an episode or two in, people are going to, at that point that would be jarring. It'll throw them off. But I think if you introduce it in a way like you did with Guardians, right, where here's the space, the little boy, his mom just died. He runs out, he gets captured by a spaceship. 26 years later or 34 years later, whatever it was, now he's on this random planet and, it's serious. He's walking, it's raining, and he's got the long coat, and then he puts on headphones and he's listening to, 70s music. At that point you're like, okay, now the tone of the film has been set. I'm on board. So
I will say greatest, title sequence of all time.
Oh my gosh, where it's
so good.
Yeah, the huge pan out and then just Guardians of the Galaxy. You're like, all right, I'm in. Yeah,
and then they ruined it in the second one.
Says you whiny baby. No, but you look at certain directors, I think, would be able to understand what the needs of the audience are with this kind of material. And I think you look at somebody like James Gunn or Taika Waititi, who...
Yeah, I was thinking, I was going to ask you who you would go director, and I would go Taika Waititi.
Yeah, 100%. If you're going to have one director do the entirety of the show, I want Taika. But if you're going to have multiple directors come in, heck, I'll take Peyton Reed. I'll take, James Gunn, Taika Waititi. Like, I will have these, you could even take, what's his name? The Spider-Man Homecoming director.
Shoot.
Not Mark Webb. He did the Amazing Spider-Man movies. This was John Watts. I'll get John Watts. Like, he understands the the comedic timing. He understands it in a way that it can be introduced and is cohesive to the story. So I know I'm picking all Marvel directors here, but these are guys that understand. I mean, I would love to see.
Think about that, though. I picked a Marvel director, too.
No,
someone who does not like the Marvel movies, and my first choice was Taika Waititi.
Right, but I mean, if you've seen, was it?
I go like What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, What We Do in the Shadows.
I freaking love that movie.
But
it's like this. It's so. Watch it, everybody. Watch it. Just go watch it. I think it's still on Amazon Prime. I bought it, but yeah, I think it's still on Amazon Prime.
But yeah, I think that...
Or go watch Green Lantern. He did that too.
Oh, nice. There you go. But
I'm just kidding. He didn't do Green Lantern. Nobody in their right mind did Green Lantern.
Oh, no. Well, and nobody's ever watched that movie anyway, so they wouldn't know if you were lying or telling the truth, so...
I watched it because I didn't know what I was getting into.
No, you're like, oh no, what have I done?
And then you watched it and you're like, I don't know what the heck... Like, there was a space thing... It's conveniently it's the same big space tentacle monster that's in Solo.
Oh right, it pretty much looks like the what are they? That was my least favorite. Rathtars, the Rathtars in
the Rathtars
in Force Awakens. Yeah, that was not my.
Why did they feel okay? So Star Warsness. Welcome everybody to the HYLT Radio. So. Why did they feel like they needed to include the Rathtars and then that giant space thing and the Kessel Run? Like, as a Star Wars fan, like you, primarily a bigger one than I, was that something that you needed in the show, in those movies?
If you were a fan of the expanded universe books at all, like you knew what the Maw was, and there was not some giant tentacled creature living in the Maw. It was scary enough that the Maw was a collection of black holes that you had to be an amazing pilot to fly between the edges of the black holes without being sucked into them. And then there was an Imperial space station in the middle of the Maw as the Maw circled around this space station. So there was literally like only one concrete path in or out, and you had to either have the coordinates specifically entered into your ship, or you had to be an amazing force-induced pilot to be able to reach it. And I was surprised that they didn't try to go that route, and that they felt the need to introduce some weird ship-eating monster that sat in the middle of nowhere. So whatever, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Decisions that I would not have made. Oh, also, with Trigun, you've got to have the serious episodes, like when he does face off against the gung-ho guns. So I think you need a serious director, somebody that understands martial arts, somebody that understands combat. I absolutely would pick Lexi Alexander for for me, the movie that I always loved was Green Street Hooligans, because I am a huge West Ham United fan, and so I was super excited for them to make a yet another movie about the hooliganism that is West Ham United. But also, she did Punisher Warzone, which I think most Marvel fans, or at least Marvel fans that were around between the late 90s into the early 2000s before the MCU really took off. She did Punisher Warzone, which was probably one of the better Punisher movies that was made, other than the TV series, which is obviously the definitive Punisher.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones where I think like what you're saying is perfect. Like, you definitely need these different directors, and that's why I like, if they were going to do a series, they need to do it like a Game of Thrones type series where you have different directors that will come in to do specific things. Yeah. Like, if you need a bunch of characters sitting around at a campfire, discussing everything and having good character interactions, you bring in one director. If you have a director that if you need like a big action scene, you bring in another director and they do that. Yeah. They do that episode. Like, I think, doing something like that way you can definitely get the best of both worlds. Whereas if you have one director who is really good at one thing, only doing one thing, then it's like, oh, well, you're not really good at writing, but you are good. Like Michael Bay. It's like, Michael Bay is fantastic at action sequences. Can he write dialogue to save his life? No. Well, but if you find a director like Joss Whedon, right, who is amazing when it comes to dialogue, and he's pretty good when it comes to action. So it's just, you probably still bring a director like J.J. Abrams.
Oh yeah, but I think with JJ, he's always excelled at surrounding himself with people that can fill the gaps in what he does. And like, you look at, like, when he did the first Star Trek movie, the rebooted one, he even full on admitted, he was like, well, I was never really a big Star Trek fan, so I brought on people that were big Star Trek fans, so that way I didn't make this just feel like a Star Wars movie, because I'm a Star Wars fan. He's like, I wanted this to still resonate with the fans of the old series, but also introduce these characters to new fans that probably wouldn't have given them a chance otherwise. I mean, I was never a big fan of Star Trek. I couldn't have named any of the characters until the J.J. Abrams movies. I watched the first two. I didn't see the James Wan one, which I still need to see. But the first two, I was fully on board with those characters. I could have continued watching them for years. Yeah, like, well, the thing is with Into Darkness, like, it's more of a Star Trek film than those other two. Oh, okay. And that's the reason that Star Trek fans don't like JJ's movies, because they're not Star Trek. Yeah. It's too space opera. It's too Star Wars. Yeah. And that's the reason that Star Trek fans don't like those two. Whereas Into Darkness, love that movie because it is a is it Into Darkness? No, Into Darkness Beyond, was the second one. Beyond was the third one that James Wan did. Yeah, Beyond, like, they love Beyond because it is a literal, like, it is one of those episodes, like, it's a movie based on every single series has this same type of episode where crew gets captured. Every single Star Trek series has an episode where crew gets captured, except for, like, our main captain and maybe, like, a couple other people, and they have to take back the ship from the bad guys. And that is essential every single Star Trek TV series, and then that's what they made the movie on. Nice. And you're like, that's why Star Trek fans loved that movie. Whereas they're like, oh, Benedict Cumberbatch is Khan? No. Spoiler alert. Like, no, we're good. Well, yeah, that was not a spoiler, because I think when you saw... That movie's been out even longer. Well, and it was in the previews. I was about to say, when you saw the very first preview, I think everybody was like, oh, they're doing Wrath of Khan. All right, cool. But I think that's what's funny, though, is because the first two looked more interesting to me than Beyond did. And it's funny that you said that one resonated more with the bigger Star Trek fans because it looked and felt more like a Star Trek theme. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting, because that was the one that looked the least interesting, which is why it's the one of the three that I never saw. Yeah. Or haven't seen yet. Yeah, it, like, of all of them, it's the most sci-fi one. Nice. Well, I like most sci-fi stuff, so. Yeah. Yeah, it's well, I mean, yeah, but you also like Star Wars, so. Well, but that's not really sci-fi, I'm just kidding. Well, no, dude, you know what's a fantastic movie that I just watched, like, for the first time? Starship Troopers.
Oh, no. I watch that every year on my birthday. No, Sunshine.
Sunshine.
It had Chris Evans, dude that was Dr. Crane in the Batman movies.
Oh, Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy. Yeah, Cillian Murphy, Chris Evans. I had Rose Byrne, whatever.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Yeah, Benedict Wong's in it. Hiroyuki Sanada, who is... Oh, we completely forgot about him. Does he still act?
I think so.
We could put him in something. I think he would be good.
Hey, I would put Benedict Wong as one of the Gung Ho Guns.
Ooh, yeah. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
You know what Hiroyuki Sanada could be? He could be Legato.
Ooh, nice.
He would be good.
I like that. People were trying to fan cast Johnny Depp as Legato, and I was like, no.
No, let's not cast Johnny Depp in anything, please.
Well, now it's come out that he was the one that was getting abused, so I'll give him a little bit more of a pass.
Was he
really though? I don't know. The bodyguards came out and said that it was true. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like I don't know. Like I wouldn't cast anybody who just looks dirty all the time.
Just take a shower, man. Just take a shower.
Come on, man. Nobody has wet hair every single second of every day. Like it's like you and Colin Farrell, like constantly wet hair. Like dry it, get a towel.
Yeah, right. Just stand under the sun for a couple minutes. You'll be good.
Exactly. And he's like, ugh.
Did you say me and Colin Farrell? You dick.
I didn't say you and Colin Farrell.
Oh, I thought you said you and Colin Farrell.
He and Colin Farrell.
Oh, I was like, me? Why are you including me in that? Because I'm Irish?
You have
messed up.
No, you have fantastic hair, Liam.
Thank you.
I've modeled my hair after yours.
You better. Honestly, it's the only way to be successful in radio is to have great hair. I mean, everybody knows that's how it works.
Because you look like you could just come off the pitch. Like,
oh, this is true. I very much have the soccer player's football.
You have soccer player
the
hair.
Footballer hair, if you will. So
maybe not the beard. Not a lot of footballers with the beards. I mean, I know it's definitely coming up more. But I mean, yeah.
Well,
not a lot.
They don't do the beard like I have. They either are a defender, like a center back, or like a fullback, and they have longer beards, or they have like the really small patchy beard that it's just like hey, I didn't shave this week, but it's not like a manicured.
They call that the Beckham.
Oh, it's for sure the Beckham. Yeah.
Just like we have this constant 3 o'clock shadow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not even a 5 o'clock shadow. It's like 3.
No.
Because like depending in the sun, you can't see it.
The typical one I would point people to is Marco Arnautovic or Manuel Lanzini from West Ham. So if you guys, good luck spelling those names. Lanzini is going to be your easier one to spell. But if you look at those guys, you'll know exactly what kind of beard I'm talking about.
You know what's bad? I've kind of grown away from Chelsea.
Oh, poor you. Well, I mean, if you're going to support a London team, it might as well be East London anyways, so.
Well, I'm going Tottenham, you know.
Ah, you're a disgrace. You're a disgrace.
As a Chelsea fan, I'm like, you know what? Tottenham, not bad. Well, they got a bunch of young guns that I really, really like.
Well,
that's kind of why I like them.
Yeah, but one, they're one of our rivals, and two,
one of your rivals.
Yeah, one of West Ham's rivals is Tottenham. Two, their new stadium, Shite Hart Lane, looks like a giant toilet bowl. If you actually look at a bird's eye view of it, it legitimately looks like a toilet with the back and everything. And then three, Harry Kane is a goofball. So there you go.
Well, conveniently, what they like to do whenever they're doing their like Premier League this thingamawhopper at the beginning, they like to that wasn't English at all. That was more like, we're coming to you live from the Zeppelin races.
Yeah, pretty much.
They like to they'll show the stadium, but that's when they'll go ahead and put all of like the different stuff like over the screen, so it's just like in the background and you can't really see it. Be like, and for today's match, we have, and there's like, it was just show like both of the squads just covering everything up of the stadium. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
You're like, all right, never mind.
I was wondering, because like, I tried to think back, like, I haven't watched a lot of their games, but I've watched a few, and I'm like, I don't know what the stadium looks like.
You're like, not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. That makes sense now. Because thinking back, I was like, oh yeah, they do like to put the stupid stuff over everything.
No,
oh man,
no, well, Man, how did we get here?
Who knows? Because you derailed me.
I look like a soccer.
Thought I insulted you, sir.
I look like a soccer player. Anyway, so
if I insulted you, I would own up to it, sir.
This is true.
You know this.
I would know these things. So I would be interested to see what the listener base would choose. Could they choose any anime that they would like, if they were at the helm, that they would like to choose to become live action? I mean, even for you, man, like if it's not Trigun, which anime would you take?
Initial D.
Oh God.
They did that. It's Fast and Furious.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Except without the guns. Like, could they just make like Initial D just like drifts? That's all it is. It's just the drift parts.
Right.
And they never get out of the car.
I would actually, thinking about it, I would like to see either Sword Art Online. I think would be pretty dope.
Well, they're supposed to be making that. Like, it was picked up for a series.
See,
I think New Line. It was either New Line or Lionsgate.
It would be very Matrixy, and I think that would actually work. I think people would be excited about about seeing a live action series that felt like The Matrix in long form versus just the movies. You know, yeah. I actually think that one would be kind of cool, and then Dorarara, I think would actually be another one, which would be kind of cool.
That would be amazing. Bakano, I think, would be good too.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Because then it would just be like a big train thing, and it would be awesome.
See, but the reason I like Dorarara is the Dolorand is from Irish folklore. It's the Headless Horseman. It's the Dolorand was the stagecoach driver for the Costa Bauer, which is basically it's the stagecoach of death, that it comes and picks people up to ferry them to the other side.
To like Chiron?
To some degree, because I mean, basically, you have the banshee that stands outside of a house that somebody's going to die in, and that's what summons the Costa Bauer to come and pick up that person. The Doloran, the Headless Horseman, is the coachman for the Costa Bauer. So I would love that series because it does have the tie to Irish folklore. So I mean, it has a personal connection for me, and I think that's why I would want to be involved in either as a director or a producer, or I would even act in it. I would love to be in that series. So I think that one would translate.
Who would you want to be in that series?
Oh God. I mean, I would.
Isaiah. That would be amazing.
Well, no, I would have to be a bit role, man. Like I couldn't be any of the main leads, mostly because I'm terrible at acting, but I would just like to see myself on screen.
Oh, you know who you could be? You could be the guy that owns the sushi place. Not the big guy. You could be like the other guy who owns the sushi place.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate that.
Hey, you wanted a bit role. I gave you a bit role. You can't be Simon.
No, I guess not, right? But
or is it Isaac? I don't remember his name. It's been a while since I watched it.
You're right.
Anime that I would love to see turned into a live action, The Black Cauldron. I think that we could do it. I think it would be great. No, that's one of the things that I wish Disney Plus would do. Like, give us like an actual like Black Cauldron thing, but because like they don't have anything that's fantasy. You know what I mean? Like they're really into the superheroes and everything right now, but I'm like, that fantasy stuff is very, very popular, especially right now. So I'm like, if you guys did Black Cauldron, but did like a Black Cauldron series,
right,
and made it semi-serious, I think you guys would be great. But I don't work at Disney yet. So
no, you don't.
Maybe one day it can happen. Do they still have the rights to that?
I would think so.
I wonder if they let the rights to Black Cauldron, because they've done nothing with it, you know? Like
right.
It barely has a DVD. I wonder if that's one of the ones where it'll be in the Disney Plus.
Oh, yeah.
If the entire library's going on, I wonder if they'll put it in there.
Well, I think they would almost have to, because if you're...
Well, I mean, I don't think they're going to put Song of the South in there.
Oh, I don't think they can. But yeah, I could see all of the main 58 Disney like the full length animated features, I would imagine all of those will make their way onto Disney Plus. I mean, for
even Home on the Range.
I mean, you almost have to. Like, you've got, what was it? What's the other one that was terrible? There was Home on the Range.
Dumbo.
Oh, stop.
Oh no, wait. I'm sorry. Pinocchio.
Oh, poor Gavin.
He doesn't listen.
Open
to the show.
Is it Open Season or the Wild? Was that the other one that was kind of terrible? I mean, there.
I don't remember.
Yeah, no. There was a couple there in like the early 2000s that were fairly insufferable. So
there was that Great Mouse one that was kind of bad.
Oh, I'm gonna punch you in the neck. I'm gonna punch you right in your neck.
I can't come to California.
Yeah, no, you're banished.
Liam's gonna be waiting at the border. He's like, I'm gonna punch him.
So I've decided who I'm gonna be in Dorada, the live action.
Okay.
I'm gonna be Tom.
Who's Tom?
The debt collection guy.
Oh no, that's too good of a role.
No, man, it's so fun. Like, that would be, dude. He's a debt collector that has to use Shizuo's like intimidation factor to try to collect the debts.
Only if I can be like that big anime, like that big otaku anime fan that's like in the van.
Yeah.
With what is it? Is it Cheetah-tan? Is that what's his name?
No,
I can't remember his name.
No, you're more of a Takashi.
Oh yes, please. I'll do that.
Oh God, of course you would. No, I'd be interested. Back to Disney Plus. I'll actually be very interested and very excited to see what makes it on for year one, and then what stuff stays on as they start to introduce more content. Because you know how, like, with Netflix, they only keep certain things on for so long because they're only paying for the rights for a finite amount of time. I'll be interested to see how much of it actually does stay, since Disney already owns all the rights to this stuff, versus them trying to create like the Disney Vault effect, where it's like, oh, it's only on for these months and now we're going to pull it off so that when we put it back on, you guys are all excited and you go and watch it again.
Yeah, that's one of the things like I thought was gonna be weird. I mean, and they're gonna have to do it soon. Like, I say the first like 3 months they'll have everything on there, and then I say you start pulling stuff.
Right. Yeah. Well,
because I mean, if you have everything on there, every single like day one forever, you're gonna lose people because they're just gonna watch it and then be like, "All right, we're done." But
think about the thousands thousands of episodes and movies and content that they'll have available. It would take you years to get through all of the content.
Maybe.
Well, maybe not you, but an average person that actually
because I mean, like,
leaves the house.
Like, I just get to skip all of the Marvel stuff, and it'll be fantastic.
Right, there you go.
I'll get to watch my Kim Possible.
There you
my
go.
Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go.
Oh my goodness.
What else was Disney?
You're like, that's it. That's all I would watch. Gravity Falls.
I've already owned that.
Yeah, but you're that type of... You're like me, man, where there's certain things that if they pop on TV, even if you have it on DVD or Blu-ray, you watch it just because it's on. Even though there's commercials, you still sit there and watch it.
This is very true. And Amazon's whole thing is so janky because there's 2 seasons of Gravity Falls.
Right.
But there's 5 volumes of Gravity Falls on Amazon.
See, but the thing that Amazon Prime is starting to that they're going to do that's actually getting me interested in signing up for their service, at least for the short term, is they're doing Good Omens.
Yes,
so,
bro.
Yeah. So that book.
How about this? You can come up with me. just take the day off. Come down or come up, because would it be down or up for you?
I would be going down to LA.
Come down to LA, and then we'll watch things. It'll be great.
Nice.
We'll watch Good Omens.
No, I am super, super excited for that. I was excited for it years ago when they initially had Robin Williams and Johnny Depp pegged to be the angel and the demon. So,
well, I'm glad they went with David Tennant.
No, I mean, David Tennant's phenomenal, and I cannot pronounce the other guy's last name, but he's so freaking good.
Oh man, yeah, that'll definitely be fun. And then they've got that other one coming out, the other comic book one.
Yeah,
which name I can't remember.
Oh, what was I just saw?
Good Guys or something, or
I just saw a trailer for that. Yeah, it's Good Guys, and it's all superheroes that are dicks, basically. Like they all just don't like
The
they're
MCU.
they're yeah, right, pretty much. No, they're all so stuck on how powerful they are that they feel like they're above the average person.
Yep.
Oh, it's Michael Sheen. I was thinking it was somebody else. Yeah, Michael Sheen and then David Tennant.
Oh wait, really? It's Michael Sheen.
Yeah, it's Michael Sheen, but I'm thinking of the character name Aziraphale.
Huh.
Yeah.
I thought it was somebody else.
No. So David Tennant plays Crowley, which I won't lie.
Yeah.
When I first read the book, I wanted to play that role because, like, my grandfather's last name is Crowley. So I was like,
Well, you can in audiobook form.
right. Well, but it was supposed to be from Crowley, which was the snake that tempted Eve. So I always thought that was really interesting because Crowley for our family comes from O'Crawlick, which was the Gaelic form of the last name that was Americanized when we came to the States.
I thought they got it from Alistair.
Yeah, that would have been great, right? But yeah, no, the Aziraphale, I want to say is the way the name is pronounced. It's in the book. I'll have to go find my copy of Good Omens, but it's in there where it actually says the phonetic spelling. But yeah, I'm excited, man.
Awesome. Well, I think we've talked enough.
Oh my God, it's been almost 2 hours. We need to get off the phone and let these people go.
Everyone's already stopped listening. So since they're already stopped listening, hey, Liam, can you tell everybody where they can find you and your work?
Fantastic. Of course I can. So if you guys enjoyed this episode and you'd like to hear me ramble on and on, but you'd like me to do it with my wife, listen to our podcast. It is HYLT Radio. My wife. Let me introduce my wife. But it's HYLT Radio. Here You Leave Today Radio. So HYLT Radio. You can go to HYLTradio.com or follow us on Twitter and Instagram at HYLT Radio.
And we'll go ahead and put all of those links in the show notes, so you can actually go and follow HYLT Radio and listen to their episode. They do that Disney, Starville, Disney, Star Wars. My goodness, Star Wars, and I'm just not used to saying Star Wars.
Right.
Disney, Star Wars, and Marvel. Wonderful, wonderful sister podcast.
Yeah.
Or brother podcast.
Sister podcast.
Gender neutral podcast.
There you go.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Josh L. Kane. You can find the podcast on Instagram at Animation Station Podcast, on Twitter at Animate Podcast, Facebook and Tumblr Animation Station Podcast. All of our episodes are available on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Play, and on our website, animationstationpodcast.com. Friday, our second episode in ToonaMay. You get that wonderful episode with Dorothy Fawn, Meryl Streep herself.
How cool.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I say this a lot when I say like one of the nicest ladies I've ever talked to. I don't think there's been a guest that we've had on who's not been one of the nicest people that we've ever talked to.
Oh, how nice. How cool.
And then Liam comes on.
My God. And I'm so obnoxious. I don't know why you continue to ask me to do the show. It's like you're trying to drive your listeners away.
I try, we're trying to, sometimes you got to scrape the bottom of the barrel.
This is true. Or, you're throwing me a bone. I appreciate it.
Yeah, because I like you, bro.
That's how you roll. You're just such a kind-hearted gentleman.
Exactly. And I'm trying to become Godfather. So anything that I can do, I just got to try and.
If we were religious, we would go that route, my friend, but we are not religious. Oh,
Satan
Father? Yeah, right. By the time this comes out, we'll have already revealed the gender. But we actually found out today, but we're doing the announcement tomorrow. But we're in the past versus when people are listening to this. So.
Oh, well, I think I already know.
What's your guess?
I will tell you off air.
Okay, you tell me off air.
And then you can tell me.
That sounds good.
If you want to, or
I
won't go on all the social media and spoil it.
You actually would. You spoiled like 3 movies just in this episode alone. So
what? I didn't say anything that Captain America becomes an old man at the end of the movie.
You didn't say anything.
No.
Can we be honest? Well, let's be honest. He's been an old man in all of the movies.
He has been an old man. But he marries Agent Carter because he goes back to 1940s and just stays there.
Wow, you're the worst. You're the absolute worst.
It's been out for 2 weeks.
Oh, man.
It's fine. And Black Widow dies.
I am not affiliated with him.
Yeah. Arya killed the Night King, everybody. Arya killed the Night King.
Oh, I saw somebody made a little GIF or something of that, and I was like, how are you... Man, that's a dick move. Then they did it like the morning after the episode aired.
Yeah, bro. It was...
it's rough out there, man.
It's rough.
Social media kills entertainment.
just like Iron Man.
Truth.
All right, so for the Liam, thanks for coming on.
That's what I'm here for. It's what I'm here for. Thanks for having me.
I'm gonna have to cut all those because they're gonna kill us.
Yeah, pretty much. But hey, I appreciate you having me on, brother. It was always a good time chatting with you.
Oh, definitely. So for the Animation Station podcast, I'm Josh.
I'm Liam.
Bye-bye, little butterfly.
Try to make the world a better place.